You guys facing Pomona, faced them Saturday, faced them in this Saturday. So you obviously know what Pomona, vice versa, they know about you guys. So how will you prepare facing them for the second time?
Yes, you're obviously familiar with what they're going to try to do. You have to react off of how the two different halves of the game went. Obviously, we played very well in the first half. Last time, we were able to get a nice flow offensively off of a lot of transition that was created by them missing shots, us getting stops. And so second half, their shooting percentage goes way up, a lot less transition for us. We have a harder time scoring in the half court. So we got to do two things. We got to make sure we get more stops so that we can get our transition game flowing again like we did in the first half. And then we need to refine and make sure if those transition opportunities don't come, where can we be more successful in the half-court game that we were forced to play against them down at their place because of their ability to score. So you want to make sure you're better in the half-court so that if those opportunities don't come in transition, you can still score points and at least break even on that.
Every conference game is important, but Pomona, obviously you want to split with them. Any more importance you face them now again and even before kind of the Christmas break?
Yeah, just mentally, honestly, you have about a 10 or 11 day break coming up, and you like to win that last game going into it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about that. That's for sure something that makes you feel better when you're on your break. But you're right, it's one of 22 games. The season isn't going to be won or lost here coming on this Saturday's game. But you obviously have a taste of revenge that you want coming off of a quick turnaround playing those guys, 7 days before this next game. So I don't know that it's any more important or less important, but the turkey sure tastes better on Christmas Day when you win that last game going into it.
Definitely. So far in the conference season, what have you learned about this Jacks team?
Transition. I mean, we're really good in transition. We need to be able to get stops consistently, especially towards the end of games, so that we can continue to play at that transition level. And then I think anytime you have new players in the mix, that we still do, you're still trying to identify where your go-through sets are and those types of things when you do need to score down the stretch. We had nice wins against Western Washington and Academy of the Art, those two really good teams early. We made those plays. We did make them this last game at Pomona, so I think learning where we're going to go through and who we're going to go through when those transition opportunities aren't there is the biggest thing.
Speaking of Christmas, you obviously want to give your fans a nice early present with a bow on top on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I talked about, for the fans even, I mean, everybody goes into a nice little break with the feeling of what you've done on the last game, your last outing. So sure, give them a present with the win and send everybody home happy. Why not?
There you go. Would you say that kind of being able to sustain that defense and transition game that you had the first half against Pomona on Saturday would be the biggest kind of key for success going into the rematch against them?
For sure. I mean, if you want to run, if you want to get out in transition, you got to get stops. And so defensively, you got to be able to stop a really, really good Pomona team. Oh, by the way, I mean, we're talking Arizona State transfer in the post, surrounded by athletes and shooters. So it's not an easy task. You got to challenge. You probably double team in the post, do some things to get the ball out, and then you got to challenge those shots on those shooters. If you do that, if you get the stops, now you're on your transition and you're flowing a little bit better. But they did a nice job of making shots, of getting the ball where they wanted it in the second half. So we need to make sure that we challenge better on those shooters. Don't let them get going like they did in the second half. And at the same time, try to put as much double team as we can on Jada Blackwell in the post, who's really, really good.
Do you think it's a good or a bad thing to have such a tough team playing them within a 7-day period? Or does it really even matter?
It doesn't really matter, to be honest. We're doing the same prep now based on the way we evaluated the last game and preparing for them as we would if we played them in a month. We do the same breakdown of the film. Usually we put it on the shelf, you get a quick evaluation and then we move on to the next opponent. But you still have the same breakdown. You go back and you look at all those possessions the same way. But usually it's a month, or 6 weeks down the road. So I don't think it makes any difference that it's a week later. We've done this a few times with travel partners. We've done it a few times with the CCA tournament going into the NCAA tournament. So, ultimately the players are going to make plays. You want to put them in the best position to do that. And so, at the end of the day, though, you got to guard people and you got to stay in front of athletes and you got to challenge shooters and you got to challenge the post to make the toughest shots possible.
Looking at the box score of the last game, you got to like your chances if you guys can find a way to stop Blackwell and Judge. I mean, they're two top scorers last week, and I mean, if you can kind of try to handle them, you got to like your chance.
Yeah, Ariel Marshall also in there and Judge are A-list shooters. I mean, those girls can put it on the floor, and they're really good shooters. And so when you're paying attention to Blackwell, you can't shade off of those guys as much as you can some of their more athletic, get it to the basket type of guards. So, guarding Blackwell one-on-one in the post on a consistent basis is tough. So we have to pick and choose when our double teams are going to come, try to run some matchup zones, some different shades of zone, so that they don't get a rhythm and a comfort level getting the ball inside to her, because it's poison if she gets it deep. She's really good. So hopefully that answers that question.
Perfect.